I have done more than touch grass. I have surrounded myself with it. Just kidding. I just decided to record outside today. I wanted to experiment with like lighting, and I was like looking at things online, and like lighting rigs were going to cost like $700. So I just decided that, like, you know what, we're just gonna go outside and see if that actually fixes our lighting problem. Because again, it's because of my setup and how everything's laid out. Again, I wasn't like doing YouTube professionally, so it's we'll have to see an experiment and see what we can do to improve the situation. So yeah, I want to start doing more book reviews. I was kind of hesitant to kind of do it initially because there was this feeling that, like, okay, I have to, like, for a long time I was just rereading old books that I hadn't read in 20 years and reading books that I didn't really like and like not finishing certain things within a reasonable time frame. So it's been kind of difficult to get back into the swing of things, right? Where I keep listening to like these lengthy collections by all these famous authors, and I keep like spending all this time just kind of like trying to decide like what I want to do on YouTube and what I want to review and what I want to talk about. And of course, there's like all sorts of things, like they just don't really come together, right? Like I don't really feel as if there's anything that really speaks to me that I like have to talk about. But I suppose I do need to get into the habit of just like coming out and like talking about like every book I read, regardless of whether or not I have strong feelings on them, because that tends to be like my feelings on most books these days, is that I read them and they just kind of, I don't know, come and go. They don't really leave much of an impression on me. Like, I learn a little bit. There are some things that work and do it for me, but like by and large, I'm just kind of like, I see most things I read as like mid. And like it's just the fact of it is that like I read so much that everything just kind of comes off as like very generic and very uninspired, and like I just find myself just, craving something like new, unique, and interesting, and I have not found it yet. So my most recent read, something that I spent like the past couple of days blasting through, was Mike Hammer #1. I, the Jury. So like this actually was something I picked up after I got into Raymond Chandler, because of course I read like The High Window and I got into like most of the Chandler books. I believe I still have to get through book 8. I think that's the last one. Maybe I didn't do 7, but yeah, I've read most of them now. And I read the Spencer series as well. Dropped that after I started reading book 6 because it was slop. And I also have this like Archer Lou book, which I have not finished yet, but I really really liked the little bit that I read of it. But like Mike Hammer was something that I was like super enthusiastic about from the onset, because I read this thing and I'm just kind of like, oh man, this is exactly what I want. It's like hard boiled, hardcore, like no holds barred, just insane noir bullshit. So like it has like the most hardcore opening I think of like any of these books I've ever read, where like this guy, he meets he his buddy from the war has been shot, and he just does this thing where he's like, hey man, I promised you that we would be friends forever and that I'd do anything for you. And so I'm gonna find whoever did this and shoot him in the stomach. And like that's the entire book essentially. That's like the setup, is that this guy goes around like harassing people, beating them up, and just causing all this mayhem. And it's like it's so much fun. Like I was reading this and I got really into it because like it really portrays itself as this really cool, badass, like darker take on the noir thing. Like I just loved how like no nonsense he was, how he pulls his gun on like on strangers for like just to bully them and stuff like that. Like it's unrealistic as hell, right? Like I just had this like even like within the first like fifth of it, you kind of get that impression is that like, yeah, this guy wouldn't get away with any of this stuff he's doing, but like it doesn't really matter because like that's the fun of it. Okay, like that's the appeal. Like it's supposed to be edgy, it's supposed to be like offbeat, it's supposed to be like kind of hardcore, and yet it like doesn't stick with the theme. Okay, Because like this guy, he's like fooling around with all these different women, and of course he ends up with this one chick he really really likes, Charlotte. And I'm not particularly like keen on noir, right? I haven't read like lots and lots of these books, right? Like I've like I said, I've only gotten to the genre for over the past year or so. So like I'm reading this and I'm just like, yeah, she did it, and she did, okay. Like you get this setup where it's like you spend a good chunk of the novel of just Mike just going around like harassing people. There are so many characters in this, you can't keep them straight. Like towards the end, I'm just kind of like, wait, who's that? Who's the sister? What did she do? Where was everyone? Like it just kind of like, it doesn't flow well at all, right? Like things just kind of happen incoherently. And then you get to like the ending, right, where it's revealed that like, ooh, the girl he like proposed to within like a couple of days, oh, she did it, ooh. And what ends up happening is that he just takes his gun and just immediately goes like, I promised I would do it no matter who it was. And then he just kills her. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know if this is like what this is trying to go for. It's like, I don't know, man. It seems like if it was more competently like constructed, this could have been really interesting. This could have been a cool twist, but it's like there are so many characters and there's so many things going on, and like they're all over the place, and like so many characters like don't really do anything, and like what ends up happening is that like you don't really get invested in the relationship between these two. Like it doesn't really come off as like genuine. It doesn't come off as like cohesive. Like it doesn't work. Like even though I feel like in a sense that like it is objectively a good like twist that like, ooh, the girl he was in love with did it, ooh, like it's like it could have been so much better. And that's just kind of my mindset, is that I look at everything this book does, and there's like so many things about it that I really 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 liked, but like it just kind of falls apart because it spends so much time emphasizing things that don't matter. Like it's like it spins its wheels for like half the page length. Like it really does feel like this is something that could have been like half the length and could have been like way more cohesive and been way more interesting. It's like he just kind of ran out of ideas of how to have Mike fuck with people, because like later on it just kind of like comes boring and generic, and then it just becomes like edgy again towards the end. Like I guess that was the point of it, but like, I kind of saw it coming, you know what I mean? Like you're really gonna have like such an edgy like, opening, you're gonna have like such an edgy protagonist, and then you're gonna have him act wholesome and normal with like his love interest. Like it doesn't work. Essentially it just feels as if like it wasn't quite where it needed to be like a genuinely good book. I don't know. I hesitate to say I did not enjoy it, because I totally did. But like it's not like objectively good either. And I don't know if I would go on to read like further entries in the series. Like from where I'm sitting, it's like this just feels like something that like should have been way better thought out. It's something that should have been way more interesting. It's something that really should have come together better. It's something that like I think needed to be better plotted, because like it really needed to like form like more connections between the characters. It needed to feel more organic, and it comes almost there. It's like, it does feel like the relationship between like the detective, Mike Hammer, and like the victim, his best war buddy, like that felt really really genuine. But then like in comparison, like the love story angle and like its conclusion, like it just doesn't work. Like you just think about it, and it's just like it doesn't feel anywhere near as natural or like well executed, and it's so disappointing. Like it could have been so much better. Okay, it could have been so much better. And it does have that like cool brutal edge to it, which I do really really like, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to like carry future books going forward. And I know there are like several more after this, and so we'll have to see if like at what point I get around to checking these out. But like it's like I don't know. There were a lot of things I liked about it. Like genuinely, there were. But like, if it doesn't come together as a whole, like I don't know if I could recommend it. Like again, this is kind of how I feel about this kind of thing as a whole. Is that like, they need to be like, these kind of books need to have more tightly woven plots. They need to have like more direction. They need to have more character. Like they need to make you like more invested in like what's going on. And I feel like for a good chunk of it, that just wasn't happening for me. Like it just wasn't happening. And like the conclusion was kind of like a foregone conclusion because like there's just no one else it could have been. You know what I mean? Like I just kind of felt like, okay, here we go. We're doing this. Okay. But anyway, yeah, that's my take on Mike Hammer #1, I, the Jury. Yeah, please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more book reviews from me. Thank you.